You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
What's happening, guys? Today, we'll be interviewing Angelique Rewers. She's a CEO and founder of The Corporate Agent, a firm that works with coaches, consultants, speakers, and other service-based small businesses on strategies for landing 5, 6, and 7-figure deals with corporate clients. She has been featured in Entrepreneur, Yahoo Finance, ABC, NBC, Huffington Post, Forbes, Inc., and the Washington Post. All right, Angelique, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and maybe also where you're calling in from today.
I think probably one of the most interesting things about me is I married my high school sweetheart. So I'm 43 now, and I met my husband when I was 15. We were both kids of single moms, and we had jobs when we were kids to help put food on the table. And so we both had a great work ethic, and we've been together ever since. So that is a pretty unusual thing in today's world. Yeah. And he and I and our 2 twins that are 10 years old live in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida.
Oh, wow. Awesome. And so I love that story. My past guest was also, his interesting fact was college sweetheart. So you got him beat on that one. On the high school sweetheart since 15 years old. Is that right? What's your secret?
Yeah. No weapons in the house. No, I'm kidding. We definitely we have our moments when you've been together with someone that long, but you know what? I think our core values are really the same. Like, we both grew up hard workers, taking 100% responsibility, not expecting that anyone was ever going to come save us, if you will. We really just have, solid core values. And I think, that's been a really good life lesson for me, even in entrepreneurship, to just surround yourself with people who share the same values as you.
I just wrote that down. I'm single, so maybe I needed someone that's a hard worker that has the same core values. All right. Now I'm getting my own 2 cents. I appreciate it, but that's being selfish. But tell us a little bit about your company, what value it brings to the marketplace. It is The Corporate Agent. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. So for 10 years, we're actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, which is super amazing. It's hard to believe 10 years has gone by already. But we help small business owners sell their services and or products to corporations. We define corporate pretty broadly, so we count in there the mid-market companies, higher ed, things like that. But at the end of the day, we're really the ones who explain to small business owners and show them the ropes of what it really takes to get into these bigger companies and win some awesome companies as their clients.
So are we talking about taking a service? So I'm better understanding and the audience understands. Do you take a service or a product generally, or both?
We do both, but services are actually a lot easier to sell to corporations if you're a small business. And it's not really hard to understand. I mean, if you're a small business owner and you're trying to supply cookies to Delta on their flights, you've got to be able to ramp up manufacturing and scale really quickly and deal with supply chain issues. Those things can be very complex to deal with. If you're a coach, if you're a keynote speaker, if you're a consultant or a PR firm, one of our clients is an expert at influencer marketing, it's really easy to walk into these companies and say, hey, I'm an expert at this, and I can come in and help transform an entire department or lay out a strategy for you, and be very nimble and agile. So if you're a service-based expert, it's actually really easy to work with huge companies. We have clients who work with Walmart, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Ford, Mercedes, BMW, Starbucks, and it's just a really easy thing to do when you're a service-based expert.
How long have you been in business?
Well, I started my company in 2006. I started a corporate consulting business. I left my job when I was 27 years old, and started my first consulting business. But we became the corporate agent in 2010. So there was sort of a 4 years before the corporate agent, and then this year's our 10-year anniversary. So we've been officially doing it for a decade now.
So since you were 27 and now, tell me a time where which has definitely happened more than once. I get that, or else this will be a 3-hour podcast. When you felt you hit rock bottom, were close to it, and really had to overcome that.
Oh man, can I cuss on this? Can I cuss on this podcast?
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, that's a story. So in 2013, I decided to put on a big conference, and I signed a contract with the Gaylord National, which is this massive. If any of your listeners have ever been to a Gaylord property, I mean, they're spectacular. They're amazing. They don't get that way because they're giving out cheap contracts, right? So I signed this like whopper of a contract with the Gaylord National to put this conference on. And I just really lost my head as to really the bandwidth of my team and what was going to be required to line up the corporate speakers, the corporate sponsors, to sell those tickets, to cover the cost of that event. And about 2 months before the event, 30 days before my room block closed, I had maybe 6.5% of my room block filled with 30 days to go. I think I had sold like 20 tickets to this 500-person conference. So I was pretty fucked at that point.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty rock bottom for me.
She was contractually fucked.
Yes. I was really like not a good situation. So, really at that point, I just had to dig deep and figure out what I was going to do. I did thousands of sales calls in 30 days. Thousands of sales calls in 30 days to sell tickets, to sell sponsorships.
And really whatever cost at that point, or you're just like, hey, listen, give me some kind of funds. Let's make sure we don't take a loss, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was don't take a loss and fill the hotel, fill the hotel so that I'm not paying $200,000 in empty hotel rooms, right? So I'm just making sales calls literally about 18 hours a day. I was making sales calls. I did it based on the time zone. So, I'd start with Europe at like 5 in the morning. And then I would like work my way to Hawaii, kind of a situation. And do you remember that documentary about the guy who ate McDonald's for 30 days?
Oh yeah, I forgot what it was called, but yes, I do.
It was like Super Size Me or something.
Size Me. Yeah, you go.
Yeah, and so I became that guy. I ate McDonald's like 3 meals a day for 30 days while I was making these sales calls. That was actually the worst part of the whole thing. I felt like shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not showering my hair, all I'm doing is making sales calls. But honestly, it was like one of the best things that ever happened to me. First of all, you'll never be afraid to make another sales call after a situation.
Yeah. Jeez.
Right. And also I pulled it out. We ended up with 400. We didn't do 500. We got 425 people in the conference.
Amazing. From 20 to 400?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well,
yeah, it was crazy. So
give me your scripts so I can give them to my people. I have a national group travel company, so we're filling room blocks all day, every day. But that's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that was probably that was really the defining moment for our business.
Well, good for you. And I think that's a great story on. Here's the cool part about it. Like, I think when you have to put your back against the wall, you don't have a freaking choice. Like it's either this or I lose a lot of money and or time, effort, resources, people, that all the time and effort you put into that conference. And knowing that, one, you did it, and the fact that you could do it gives you peace of mind, knowing if shit hits the fan, you pick up the phone and start rocking again, right? And I think that's a really cool story for people that get that, hey, sometimes it will hit the fan on a regular basis as an entrepreneur, but sometimes you got to just pick it up and knock it out like you did, which is awesome. Why do you think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, in your opinion, that just fail or give up?
Well, I think they fail because they give up. And I think they give up because they haven't found something that they want more than whatever they have to grow through. So if look, it's uncomfortable. It wasn't fun making those calls, it was stressful, but there was something I wanted more than not making those calls. I knew that putting on that event would put us on the map, which is really important in the sort of professional development space, the small business owner space. You're not going to get there just out posting someone on LinkedIn. And so I really wanted that. And I also really wanted to fill the gap, to be that gap, that bridge between small business and big corporate, because I saw that there was a real need for that. I saw the opportunity for both sides, both corporate and small business. So I really wanted that. And I want my life to mean something. You know, we're filming this pretty close, you know, to when the helicopter crash for Kobe Bryant went down. And, you know, that really kind of rocked me when that happened, because, you know, here he is, somebody who is just, he's got these, you know, big next plans, he's focused, he's doing all of these things. And, you know, no matter what, it doesn't matter how great our plans are or our vision or our dreams, like we may not have another minute. And so I think for a lot of folks who fail, Mike, it's just about the idea that they just don't want to have to grow through it. They don't want anything badly enough. Because let me tell you something. Every successful entrepreneur out there, they want it bad enough.
Are you struggling to grow your business? Have you ever thought, man, I wish Mike could answer my specific questions about my business? Well, you're in luck, and I can help. Go to michaellevis.com and sign up to schedule a free live on-air call today. That's right. For a limited time, we're recording real business owners with real struggles. Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I think your why has to have some really good reasoning besides money.
Oh, yeah.
It has to. And it has to really, and it's hard. It's hard to kind of, you know, a lot of people are probably, the aspiring entrepreneurs are thinking like, what is that for me? Well, you got to start reading the books. You got to start Googling and watching the videos. You got to start listening to podcasts like this and others that are out there to understand what it is that you want to do. If you have a passion for something, you can likely, if not, I say that not likely turn that into a profession. And so, in your industry right now, what do you feel you're excited about?
Well, I think one thing I'm really excited about is this huge wave of disruption that's coming. You know, there are about 9 or 10 things that are really shifting the business market globally. You've got the Internet of Things, advanced automation, autonomous vehicles, AI, humanoid robots about to hit the workplace in the next 5-6 years. So we're about to just go through this massive transformation globally that no one is prepared for at all whatsoever. My favorite quote, it's sort of my driving quote, is from Oscar Wilde: "The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last." And I just feel like we are on the eve of like this tremendous suspense. And for entrepreneurs and consultants and coaches and keynote speakers and trainers and there's so much freaking opportunity that's about to just land on the planet for everyone. And also it's going to be chaos. And so I think that's it. Like I guess I'm kind of sick that way. Like, I think that's really exciting.
That's most of us. Yeah. We freak out about the chaos, and without it, we're bored.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. How are you currently? This is Business and Life podcast. How do you feel you've been able to build the life that you want to live through your businesses?
You know, one thing for me was, I'm a Baltimore girl. I bleed Ravens purple. I'm not going to lie. So, you know, I am Baltimore through and through. But through my business, I started to realize that I have choices in life. And I remember one day I was flying back into Baltimore, and it was gray and cold, and I was coming in from beautiful Scottsdale. And I thought to myself, why the hell am I still here? You know, I love Baltimore, but I'm also miserable here. And so, you know, we moved to South Florida. My husband left his executive job at a Fortune 500 energy company to be my CFO. We get to send our kids to this amazing private school, very, very small private school that teaches mindset and entrepreneurial skills from the time they're in kindergarten. Yeah, like it's so just incredible that I get to do that. And we get to travel. You know, we're getting ready to head off to Grenada. We'll be in Barbados this year. So, you know, for me, it's been it's been asking, like, what do I want in my life? And then building my business to support my life, which is amazing. We're going through growth right now. So that doesn't mean that I don't work my ass off. I do. I probably work a little bit 7 days, except for when I'm on vacation, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love what I do. I'm working for my beautiful home office in my beautiful house in Boca Raton, Florida. I really can't, complain. Life's good.
Now, the business and life idea and that angle, I always try to remind people, one, we have those questions that like, listen, it's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. You had to make 1,000+ calls, but you definitely came out at the ladder into the tunnel there. But a lot of times with the entrepreneurs that I believe that I know that are listening, and also the aspiring ones, I think just the transparency is the goal. Is here for this kind of with the podcast in general, just to get them to understand that we're not trying to scare them out of it. Because sometimes I have some guests that are like, bro, like, how much time do you got? And I was like, I know, I get it, man. I go, I've been there. We're not. If that was the case, I might even make like a podcast about just litigation, right? Like, let's just go through that, because we might as well turn people into certified paralegals, because we could, all of us.
Oh, for sure,
100%, right? But
100%.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I appreciate that story and understanding that like there's a mindset that goes into I think it turns into a callous shell around your mind and your heart about stress. It doesn't go away. You just start dealing with it better, right? You just start taking the bullet better and better over time, right?
I think of it as endurance. I say to my clients all the time that one of the big difference that comes with entrepreneurial maturity is your endurance changes. It's just like marathon runners. They can, run 26 miles. Yeah. And, they're still standing. Whereas if I try to run 2 miles right now, I probably would fall down. But it's just the more experienced you are as an entrepreneur, you do have this different endurance. And I think one of the biggest areas of endurance that comes with that entrepreneurial maturity is the endurance of making decisions in your business. The pace at which I make decisions around here is, it's like this constantly, Mike. I'm making decisions. Yes. If you look at people in their first year of business, second year of business, it's like a week to make a decision. You deal with the more experienced business owners, they're making decisions every half an hour, and and it's a true decision. They're making the decision, and then their team is acting on it. So I think that's a big differentiator as you get older and wiser.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's a great massive action. We talk about that a lot. Taking it and making decisions is it's such a big part of, I believe, hopefully this message. And I'm going to make sure this goes in the show notes. Like, make a decision fast, stick to it, and change it later. But if you're waiting and you're hesitant, I mean, there's some great quotes out there. It's not coming to mind, but complexity is I believe it's the like friend of all like evil, like obviously of the actual mountain that you're about to climb in entrepreneurship. And if there was one piece of advice that I'd have to pull from you, Angelique, what would that be if you're going to give to the entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs listening?
I think my biggest piece of advice is I know people have said it before, but that idea of really making the decision based on what you want, not based on what you're trying to avoid. And, as cliche as that has become, we see it every day, all day long, that people will tell us they want one thing, and then when they're presented with an opportunity to make that happen, they come up with every excuse in the book. Well, I can't because my spouse won't like it, or I can't travel. I mean, I literally had someone once who didn't come to an event because the deer would eat her tomatoes in the garden. And, it's like, well, I guess you want tomatoes more than you want your business. I mean, this is crazy, right? Crazy making out there. So you got to stop the crazy making. Really listen to what you're saying. A lot of you guys, you're like, you operate on autopilot, and you've started to believe your own stories and excuses. And actually, if you step back and listen to what you're saying, it's completely illogical. Yeah. So, it's really about making those decisions, not just quickly, but making the decisions not based on being afraid of something or trying to avoid something, but making the decision based on the vision that you have.
And where can people find you?
thecorporateagent.com. The word "the" is in there. So thecorporateagent.com. And we actually have an awesome event coming up this summer in beautiful Fort Lauderdale that folks can get some information about for those who are listening, who are consultants, coaches, trainers, small business owners that are selling to corporate. It's the place to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And when is that event?
June 2nd to 4th, 2020.
Perfect. We'll make sure we pop that in the show notes. Angelique, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing your kids on the Shark Tank.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I'm sure that's coming up soon. But again, I appreciate all the knowledge bombs that you gave us today.
Absolutely.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.